Good evening. I'm Mark Milligan. I'm glad to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me. I have an opportunity to share some information with you that's very vital to your knowledge as it relates to anything going forward in this parish related to the parish prison. Let me read a couple of things to you. And I want to try to make sure I stay focused on what you said. The role of the sheriff. Sheriff is the chief law enforcement officer of the parish. He is in fact the man. He is the only person that makes the decision for the sheriff's office. We the people elect the sheriff. The sheriff, a statute, a constitution, makes the final decision. He doesn't have to ask anybody, as you can well see. He has a civil hat and a criminal hat. He's able to enforce civil laws such as evictions, repossessions of vehicles, any type of civil judgment that comes down. He is the law enforcement arm of the parish. He's also the criminal sheriff. He enforces the law outside of the city limits, but he has jurisdiction throughout the parish. He's probably the only person in this parish that can't get arrested. If you tried arresting him, where would you put him? Everybody has to be arrested. Everybody that is arrested has to actually go through parish prison. I don't want to belabor this thing. It could get kind of voluminous because there's a lot that's been said. What a lot of people need to realize is that the sheriff and the U.S. Marshal are not in office to serve servants. They're there to serve people by guarding against governmental abuses. There are a lot of abuses that exist. There's a lot of things that are happening in this town that can be, by a stroke of a pen, the sheriff can wipe it out. When we talk about the ICE program, the 287G, that's something that the sheriff actually has to sign off on, and no one else. Let me tell you why. Remember, if anybody gets arrested, where do they have to go? You know who can let them go? Only can let them go. He doesn't need the permission of the courts. Now, the courts can do that as well, but it's the sheriff who ultimately makes that decision. So that's why I put so much emphasis on it. But what I'm telling you is actually out there. I want y'all, when you get a chance, is to go and look up the authority of the county sheriff. County sheriff is a constitutional officer elected by the people and bound by oath as guardian of the people, people's unalienable rights secured by the Constitution.
It's not a county, it's a parish.
Say again.
It's not a county, it's a parish.
Okay, thank you. So the duties and responsibilities and authority of the sheriff cannot be diminished by those in the legislature, the court, nor can it be diminished by any state constitution. The gentleman said something about the legislature making some rules or going in and changing the legislature, going in and changing the Constitution. The only way that can happen, you have to have 2/3 majority of the legislature, and then it has to be ratified by the people, 2/3. When it comes to enforcing the law, which is to say enforcing the Constitution of the United States of America, the sheriff, being the chief law enforcement officer, answers to we the people. That's how you want the sheriff to do something for you. He answers to we the people during an election. No one else, not even the governor, like any other elected official, the sheriff cannot be removed from office by another elected official. He can only be removed by the people at the ballot box, or by recall, or by indictment of a grand jury. So I say that to you, and I want to make sure I ring that home. Police chiefs, Metro Council, mayor presidents, council members, state elected officials, representatives, senators, governors, presidents doesn't have the authority the sheriff has. I want you to take your time and go look it up, and you're going to see what I'm talking about. It's there. It's all about constitution. That's for every sheriff in their parish. In some instances, they say the sheriff has more authority than the president. Bottom line. That's pretty good there. So now he can make the decision. So we need to impress upon him to do the will of the people. So as I say to you, remember, he is also the tax collector. He's the one that actually, you have to go pay your money to for your property tax every year. So he comes across a lot of money. He can also set the roles so that he can have an increase in his budget if he chooses to. Now, when we talk about, and I want to stay focused on the authority of, when we talk about the things that can be done differently at parish prison, it can all be done by the sheriff. This sheriff, according to his records, has about a $17 or $18 million surplus right now. So what I think is happening, if I may, what I think is happening is that things are being allowed to die so that we can ultimately have to pay for a new prison. I don't think we should have to pay for a new prison. I think we can go in, where as they said, they closed down A, B, and C wing. We can go in and revamp it. I know this from my construction days, that there are three major components in any building: foundation, walls, and ceiling. If they're good, we're in great shape. We can change out any plumbing issues, any electrical issues, whatsoever. That can happen. Remember, $17, $18 million surplus. So I say that to you, that if he truly wants to make a difference, then all we have to do is put forth some money that he already has in his budget, according to the information I've read. There's no reason for people to die in parish prison. It's incompetence, it's negligence. It borders on criminality to allow any of these things to happen. I wish I could have gotten more folks to realize just where the blame lies before they scattered off, and I understand it's getting late. But it's atrocious that any one individual or any collective individuals would go forth and say, you know, I don't have a problem with him dying. As this gentleman said, Warden Grimes has no feeling whatsoever. He needs to be replaced. So ultimately, if you want to have something different, you have to do something different to achieve that. Our sheriff is in charge of everything in this parish, law enforcement wise. He can arrest anybody in this parish and keep them in jail. That's an awesome authority that he has. And there should be responsibility that goes along with that. We want to make a difference. The role of the sheriff is to serve we the people. And if he's not doing that, he needs to be replaced. Thank y'all.